Lead acid batteries have been around since 1859, but it seems like lately everything has gone LiFePO4. Honestly, both have pros and both have cons. But if you're trying to make sure you spend your money wisely in 2026, there's really only one that makes sense. Welcome back to the lab where our opinions cannot be bought. When most people think about solar or storing power, they picture 12-volt batteries like these. While these are proven to work, they're quickly being phased out. No matter what the battery looks like or what industry it's used in, LiFePO4 is quickly taking over. The name lead acid comes from its internal chemistry. Inside the battery casing, there's usually a negative plate made of lead, a positive plate made of lead dioxide, and a liquid sulfuric acid in between them. When the battery powers something, a chemical reaction happens between the lead and the sulfuric acid. In simple words, the reaction causes electrons to release, which creates electricity. When you recharge the battery, the reaction just runs in reverse. If you've ever filled a battery, you've seen the acid go in. Some of the batteries aren't even sold with acid inside. This gives you a longer shelf life before first use. So when you buy the battery, the acid comes in a separate container that clicks to the top and it seeps down into it. This is most common in recreational vehicles like motorcycles or ATVs, snowmobiles. One major issue with lead acid batteries is something called sulfation, which looks like this. Over time, crystals build up on the plates, especially if the battery sits discharged for a long period of time. This slowly reduces battery performance and lifespan. And that's why some batteries sell the acid additionally to minimize this issue. Speaking of lifespan, lead acid batteries also come with environmental concerns. Leaking acid can cause serious damage, like burning your skin, causing blindness if it gets in your eyes, or eating at surfaces like tabletops or floors. The sulfuric acid and lead can also be hazardous if they're not properly disposed of. However, they are the most commonly recycled batteries in the world when done correctly. LiFePO4 batteries, on the other hand, have very different internals. They use lithium iron phosphate chemistry with a liquid or gel-like electrolyte in the cells. And basically that electrolyte helps lithium ions move between cells. Think of it like a parking lot where cars, being the ions, are moving in and out of the parking spaces. When the battery's charging, the parking lot is filling up and cars are driving around trying to fill the last empty spots. When you're using the battery, the cars are starting to leave the lot and the parking lot is becoming empty. Because of the differences of their chemistry and construction, these batteries have different use cases. Unlike lead acid, LiFePO4 batteries do not use sulfuric acid. They do not require regular maintenance and are far more resistant to sitting unused for long periods of time. Lead acid batteries do work, but compared to LiFePO4, they have a lot of disadvantages. Some of those are, they're significantly heavier, they charge a lot slower, they lose voltage easier when they're under a load, and they have a much shorter lifespan overall. Most lead acid batteries only last a few hundred cycles, while LiFePO4 can last thousands. Lead acid batteries are limited with how deeply they are discharged. Regularly draining them too low can cause damage because the acid is not covering the plates, which causes the sulfation we talked about, which is just the crystallization. This is one of the biggest reasons why industries are moving away from them. Even though lead acid batteries are being phased out, they do have their specific use cases. Most commonly, and what you guys are probably most familiar with, these are usually used in automotive. This is because they are lower cost and their ability to provide high surge currents, which gives you that high burst of power to start your car. They're also really good for extreme weather conditions. A lot of cars are subjected to harsh temperatures, and lead acid stands up much better to the cold. They're also used in other applications like cell towers and remote cabins. Again, because a lot of those things are subjected to cold temperatures. Lead acid batteries are also much cheaper upfront, which makes them attractive for budget-focused projects. On the other hand, LiFePO4 batteries are most common for solar storage, off-grid power, RVs, and marine applications. They offer roughly 5,000 plus life cycles. They're 50 to 60% lighter than lead acid, and they utilize a BMS, battery management system, for thermal stability and protection. They're known for being safe, long-lasting, and highly efficient. They also charge much faster. They can safely be stored at 80% capacity without damage, and they maintain a stable voltage under load. Even though they cost more up front, they're cheaper in the long run because of their lifespan. They're even starting to come with heaters to compensate for that poor cold weather performance. So which is best for you? If you're looking for the absolute cheapest solution up front, lead acid might actually make sense, especially for things like a starter battery or backup system. But for almost everything else, LiFePO4 makes more sense in 2026. They last longer, charge faster, require less maintenance, they weigh less, and are significantly more efficient, especially for solar, off-grid systems, RVs, and marine. At the end of the day, like I said, both batteries have their place. But if you're new to LiFePO4 and you guys want to learn more, we'll leave links to any helpful videos in the description. And make sure to check out the rest of the channel where solar and storage is pretty much all we do. Otherwise, that's pretty much all we got for you today. Thanks for watching. Peace out and stay charged.